Well, my friends, it is Tuesday night, it is the late night agenda, and as always, I do appreciate you guys giving up your time to come in and say hello. Again, it's another day where there genuinely is a load of stuff to talk about. I always dread the international breaks because I think we won't have topics to discuss, and if we don't have topics, I won't do a stream. But honestly, today there's 6 or 7 stories there that caught our eye, and we thought, let's bring them. Let's bring them to the table. So look, Tahira, if you are watching, the only reason I timed you out there, mate, is because of the whole "I'm poor" part of your comment. We don't do the whole begging for subs membership stuff on the channel. It's not because you're poor you're being timed out. It's because it's a weird comment, dude, and it puts people in an awkward position. So that's why. Nothing else. You will be back in a minute, dude. You were just timed out. You weren't banned, so don't need to worry about that. How are we all doing? Are we good? Thank you guys who came across and showed Adam some love earlier on top of the league as well. I was in there for his stream. I thought he did a great job. He's settling into the role nicely, which is good to see. What's your opinion on the Megan Rapinoe situation? I don't know the Megan Rapinoe situation. Whenever I hear the words Megan Rapinoe, my eyes glaze over and my ears close up automatically. Because I wouldn't be a member of the Megan Rapinoe fan club. I also have no idea what that situation is. Benfica Neves, yes, it is Benfica Neves. It's not Ruben Neves. Don't worry about that. We will Joao Neves from Benfica. So we'll go through that. I don't know what's happened with her. I've no idea. Sorry. I just seen someone say what Megan Rapinoe, and I've no idea. So look, loads of stuff to talk about tonight. What we will be discussing is the 2 players for Benfica that Liverpool had sent scouts to watch, which is Joao Neves and Antonio Silva. So we'll be discussing that. We'll be talking about Liverpool's links to a Wolves defender as well. We'll be talking about who Jurgen Klopp should manage after Liverpool. According to a certain manager, he'd like to see him take over his club. A little bit on Thiago, some stats to back up that Virgil van Dijk's the best defender currently in the Premier League, and lots of other interesting bits and pieces. Honestly, it's a jam-packed show tonight. Colin said, hello, you perfection to human existence. I mean, it's getting better by the day, Colin. And well done, by the way. And shame on you for your red card. Colin got aggro in the football game last night and got himself sent off now. Colin, come on. No need to be getting sent off at the end. He said, hope your day's been great. Looking forward to my Thanksgiving break next week. How's the international break? Love you. Good. Yeah, can't complain, mate. Things are good. It's nice, peaceful, quiet at the minute. So... all good at this end. Will I do a New Year's Eve stream? So you know what? I might do a drunk one. I was feeling the hankering the other day. I haven't had a drink. I didn't even have a drink on my holiday this time. But I might do a drunk New Year's Eve stream. So watch this space. Yeah, I might get the old bottle of vodka out and jump on for a bit of a drunk one. So anything could happen. So we're going to have a producer for that one, definitely. Yeah, look, there's lots to get to. Where do you want to talk? What do you want to talk about tonight? Where do we want to start with? Good news is that we're not going to be plugging at it, so you're not going to have any sponsorship stuff rammed down your throat tonight. It's just going to be you and me. Stray vodka? No. Cranberry juice with it. I wouldn't drink vodka straight. Oh God, no. I'm not that. My stomach couldn't cope with that. Howard Webb. Will we discuss Mic'd Up? Have you guys seen it? I mean, don't worry, I'll be here for a while, so sit back, relax, and take your time this evening, folks. There's lots for us to go through. We start off with a conversation about Mic'd Up. As I said to you guys yesterday, I like to give it 10 or 15 minutes before we move in to the big stories, because it lets people come in. So Mic'd Up. I didn't catch the show live, but I did watch the 4 segments of it separately in 5-minute intervals. And do you know what? I've got to be fair. I felt a lot of the conversation was top notch from the officials. I've got to be honest about it. I disagreed with the situation with the Wolves penalty. I felt that was never a penalty. And to be fair, VAR have admitted, or the PGML have admitted, they got that one wrong. But the rest of it, I thought they did their job well. I thought the officials interacted with each other well. I thought they communicated to the referee well, and I thought they went through the process as well. So genuinely, on this episode of Mic'd Up, from the bits I've seen anyway, I don't really have many complaints about any of the decisions, other than the one they got wrong, but they've admitted they got it wrong since. Colin's gifted 2 memberships. Thank you, Colin. That one's gone to Abbas Anonymous, and the other one has gone to Leanne. Thank you, Colin, for that one. George Edwards, thank you for the super sticker, dude. You're a legend. Craig and Vodka. Oh, we did one before, T. We did one before, mate. But it went on private afterwards. So it was when Chris was still with the channel. I did a New Year's Eve stream where I was drunk, and I don't remember it. So we put it on private straight away. But you never know, we might have one this year again. If Liverpool win the league, when will the celebrations begin? I'm travelling from Australia after the Wolves game 19th of May. It depends. So it depends when you win the league. But look, if you're talking about a parade and stuff, I'd imagine the day after the final game would probably be when that will be done. But I wouldn't be planning a trip from Australia yet, just in case. Brandy me. Oh, Ricks, they're not brandy. No, God, mate. Brandy whiskey. Can't do any of that stuff, mate. No. I've never been one for the flavour, for the taste of brandy, whiskey, stuff like that. Colin again gifted another membership there. Thank you, Colin. You're very kind indeed. That one has gone to Mary Nelson, who I know will be very appreciative of that. Mary, a regular viewer. How are you, Mary, today? Right, what do we got? Craig, do you think Mac Allister has under-delivered this season? I think it's a question, Tyler, that many Liverpool fans have asked. And it's a really difficult one to answer because it depends how you look at the situation. It depends on your perspective of what you expected from Alexis. So I feel, personally, just my take, it would be unfair to say he's under-delivered because he hasn't been playing in the position he was playing in at Brighton. But in the 6, I think he's done as well as can be expected. I want to try and be fair. Andros Townsend, by the way, while we're speaking about Alexis Mac Allister, Andros Townsend was full of praise from him. Speaking of BBC Radio 5 Live's Monday Night Club, Andros Townsend said, whereas now when the ball's at his feet of Gomez, Van Dijk and Canada, you've got 3 midfielders who have the quality to go on the ball. You talk about Mac Allister as the number 6 now. He's got immense quality. It's so tough you can't really allow anyone to have the ball. So other players are very heaping of their praise on Alexis. It's tough because it's not his role, and it shouldn't be a role he's been forced to play because he's not a number 6, and Liverpool should have bought a number 6. So it depends how you look at it. Do you look at it that Liverpool are just trying to find a way to get Mac Allister, Szoboszlai and Gravenberch or Jones on the pitch together? You can look at it through those eyes, but if you're looking at it in the big picture, I would say inconclusive at this moment in time. Do you like betting on football games? No, I used to. Now I don't. I don't bet on football games at the moment. Save my betting for NFL these days because, yeah, I find it distorts my enjoyment of games if I'm watching them and my bet doesn't come up. So I keep the betting for the NFL at the minute, my man. And always, as again, when we're talking about betting, it's a personal choice. Again, make sure you do not bet what you can't afford. Bet responsibly. Never chase your losses. But yeah, not for me at the minute. Callum Spencer, just hoping our injured players come back for City and no one gets injured during the break. Oh, look, I don't want to say this out loud, but I have to say it out loud because I promised myself I would. My bad feeling, touch wood, touch whatever the hell you want personally, and don't blame me if this happens. I'm just telling you, I've got a gut feeling. I have a bad feeling we'll end up with a Nunez injury in this international break. I just do. Obviously, I have no way of predicting that. It's just a bad gut feeling I have that somehow he's going to have a muscle strain or something, and I hope to God I'm wrong. Am I a fan of darts? Absolutely. Yeah. Love darts. Big Liverpool fan. How are you? I'm good, Michael. I'm good. Appreciate you being in with us, mate. Right, so the Saudi guy now wants Liverpool. What Saudi guy? If you're talking about Sheikh Jassim, he's from Qatar. And I've seen nothing to indicate he wants Liverpool. But there you go. So what story do you want me to start with? We're at peak now. We're in 10 minutes, 50 minutes in. We've got over 1,000 live viewers. What story would you guys like me to discuss first? I can talk about Cholo Simeone wanting Klopp to be the next manager after him. We can talk about the double raid on Benfica that's been linked. We can talk about VVD and him being statistically the best defender in the Prem. We can talk about Aït-Nouri. Right, I'm looking through. Oh God, there's so many different ones. Ibu injury. There's nothing to that. That's just a small injury. He'll be back after the international break, mate. Don't worry about that one. Oh God, this is really split. I'll tell you what. I'm going to just take them in the order here that I have them in my notes. So we'll start off with the Benfica story, because that's the first one in my notes. So we'll go through that way. So 90 Min have reported that Liverpool sent scouts over for the Lisbon derby. Now, I mentioned this to you guys yesterday. They're spot on with that. Liverpool did have scouts over. And yesterday we mentioned that Liverpool scouts are apparently looking over there at Gonzalo Inacio. But we did say it feels a bit coincidental that Liverpool scouts are over there, right? Because we've looked at Gonzalo Inacio many times and we're not going to sign him. I'm going to say that out loud. We're not going to sign Inacio because, well, we could have got him for 50% cheaper. It would be stupidity to sign him now. So I never believed that he was the reason we were over there. But then I seen this story today coming from 90 Min, and they say that Liverpool scouts were over there watching two Benfica players. Those players were Joao Neves, who's a 19-year-old holding midfielder, and the other one is the one that really got my attention, Antonio Silva. If we are to go into Europe and bring in a young top-tiered centre-back, he's my number one target. Always has been, always will be. Reason we haven't mentioned it really on the channel is because outside of fans wanting it and me wanting it, it's never really been mentioned as a link for Liverpool. But this 90 Min story said that Liverpool were there to look at both of those players. And he's a top-notch centre-back, folks. I know a lot of you guys know him because you know your football. But he is the one for me. And I don't know. I cannot sit here and say to you categorically that we're going to make a move for either one of them. Truth is, I don't know. But they're the right names for me, for us to be linked to. I don't know much. I'm going to look for your help on Joao Neves because he's certainly one that I've got to say I don't know too much about other than he's a holding midfielder. He's 19 years of age and he plays for Benfica. But Antonio Silva, I know a lot more about, and he is exactly the profile and quality of centre-back. I mean, I think I have the right player in my mind. I think one of Pep Guardiola's scouting department have shortlisted him as the one to watch, basically. Going back a couple of years, even. So for him, I would love him. I would absolutely love him at Liverpool. They don't go on to speak about money. They don't go on in this story to speak about when Liverpool may make a move for either one. But they're two players that we've been linked to and two players that we absolutely should be linked to. So, would love Lucas Beraldo. So, Fabrizio speaking on him reckons he's probably one move away from a big move to a top 6 Premier League club. So, maybe the one from Sao Paulo would be one for the future. But here we have two players, of course, already getting that taste, already playing top-level European football with Benfica. So, that would... I'd be over the moon with Antonio Silva. I would. I've no idea what the price is, and I'm sure somebody knows about the release clause. But yeah, he's top notch. He is the one for me. Like, imagine we brought in Antonio Silva, and you had Antonio Silva, Ibu, and then you had Jarell Kwanzaa as your three young centre backs for the future. You still, of course, have Virgil van Dijk at the club. I'd be quite happy. Joe Gomez, 26 years of age as well, if Joel Matip were to move on. If his release clause is, as I think you guys have mentioned in the chat, about 120 million euro, do I see Liverpool paying that? No, I don't. I just don't. Virgil van Dijk was Virgil van Dijk. You know, we paid a huge premium for him, partly because he was Premier League tried and tested, and partly because of the whole tapping up thing. So if they demand that money, we ain't paying it. I'd be absolutely astonished if Liverpool went out there and spent that money. Rachel Todd gifted 5 Anfield Agenda memberships to Andrew, to Matthew, to Pedals, to Lee Hall. And where's the other one gone? It did this to me again, Rachel. Where's the other? Oh, T. T's having a good day. T was unhidden on Anfield Agenda by me earlier on, and now he's after getting gifted a membership. I mean, that's a W day for you, sir. My nephew 8 just said, "Can we watch Craig?" I mean, the nephew's playing a blinder there, John. An absolute blinder. Now, I'm not responsible for the swearing that might come out of my mouth. That's up to you, but your nephew knows what's up. So, yes, you can watch Craig. Well played. Realistically, what's stopping them going to Man United? They have the money. They're shit. I'm sorry. I mean, that's my genuine answer. You're right, United have money, but they also don't have money. So if you look at it from an FFP perspective, United are, they've had to watch their pounds, shillings and pence recently. But, that would be my answer. United are crap at the minute. And they're a bit of a mess, like. If you were a player, hand on heart, would you go to United right now? Like, they're always going to have the lure of a big club. Of course they are. They're a huge club. But right now, they're a mess. They're like a soap opera. And I wouldn't be going there after seeing what's happened to Anthony, what's happening to Jadon Sancho. Nah, not for me if I'm a young player at the minute. I'm going to somewhere with a bit more stability. We need more ambitious owners. See, here's where I'm confused, Jay, and I'm sure you're probably the same, your good self. How can we have an owner that was willing to spend £115 million on Moise Caicedo, and now we're back to thinking we haven't got a pot to piss in? We're so brainwashed as Liverpool fans to almost accept the miserly ways of FSG that it's like our default setting as Liverpool fans. I'm not saying you're right, I'm wrong, I'm right, you're wrong, whatever. It just is that way. We don't. It's almost like we don't expect it from our owners, but we should. You're right. If anything, I think they've shown their hand, FSG, that the money is available for the right players. So it's a fair point you've made. Who would you take, Bakayoko or Nico Williams? I'm going to move on to speak about Nico Williams in a little bit. I do have my notes ready for him as well. So on that, let's move on to talk about Nico Williams of Athletic Club Bilbao. So for those of you who aren't aware, Nico Williams is a product of their academy, but Nico Williams' contract expires in the summer. Right now, he has a €50 million release clause in his Athletic Bilbao contract. So if Liverpool were to sign him, or anybody wanted to sign him before the end of the season, let's say in January, they'd have to pay that release clause. Now, there are family ties for the Williams brothers. Of course, his older brother Iñaki plays there as well. Nico looks like the better of the two, if I'm being honest with you. And they've been speaking themselves from the Bilbao side about Nico Williams. So, is it their sporting director? No, sorry, it's Nico Williams' agent actually who's been speaking. And he said, in a few months, the contract ends. Let's not forget. The club know what the player's approach is, which is what he wants. There's no definitive offer from either party. So, as of right now, according to his agent, Bilbao haven't put forward a new offer to Nico Williams. So, because he's a youth product, I think they would be due compensation. But because Liverpool or an English club or any club outside of Spain could get him, I think that compensation would be minimal. If my memory is correct, I think it could be about €300,000, something like that. I remember seeing previous stories like this before. So he's available, basically. If anybody wants to try and get Nico, I think they could do it at this moment in time. That release clause is kind of only for January, really, because after January, or even in January, he could sign a pre-contract agreement to join any club outside of Spain. So it's an interesting one. It falls under one of these categories for me of, are we being linked with Nico Williams because he's a good, fast attacker with a very high ceiling, or are we being linked with Nico Williams because he's going to be available for pretty much free in the summer? And this is where I get confused as a Liverpool fan at times. I've spoken to you guys about this before, and other players. We've been linked with players, again, at the end of their contracts, when would we be linked with them if they had 2 years to go? Would Liverpool be looking to trigger that release clause as an example? Truth to this one is, I don't know the answer. I can tell you that Liverpool have been linked with Nico Williams for a while, but it could have been because of that release clause in his Athletic Bilbao contract. I wouldn't feel comfortable if Liverpool lost Mo and Nico Williams was the sole replacement. I don't think he's ready yet. I think he's still at least a season, maybe 2 seasons away from being at a level where Liverpool will be able to use him straight away. And also we've got Ben Doak, Cade Gordon, Trent Doherty, and other young attackers coming through. So I don't know where I sit with this one. I'd be interested to know, of course, what you guys think. Let me know if you think Nico Williams to Liverpool would be a deal you'd like to see. Or, let me look at this another way. Excuse me. Let's say Mohamed Salah stays, right? Let's say Mo stays for, I don't know, it doesn't really matter for this conversation whether he stays for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. But let's say Mo stays. Then I understand the idea of Nico Williams. Absolutely. If you're going to bring in Nico Williams and slowly, gradually put him in, or maybe even send them back on loan somewhere for a year, then I understand it. Because you'd have Mohamed Salah for a couple more seasons and Nico Williams gets to progress. So in that scenario, absolutely sound about it. But if it was to replace Mohamed Salah, wouldn't be the right addition for me. Not for me. Look, I can only say this so many times, but if we get to a situation where we have to replace Salah, Mbappe is the answer in my warped brain anyway. But what do you guys think? Would you like to see Nico Williams at Liverpool, or do you think we could do better? Same as Doak, said Stephen O'Sullivan. Yeah, again, are you blocking a pathway through, or are we just giving more options for the manager? These are the difficult decisions, isn't it? Because you've got two young people there, both 19 years of age or so. Ben Doak, Nico Williams. Yeah, are you blocking, or are you increasing the competition for places? Will it bring the best out of both those young men? I guess that's the way to think of it, really. I read that he wants to stay in Spain. That could absolutely be true, John. As I said, there are ties for the Williams family to Athletic Club Bilbao. Both the sons there came through the system. The family are settled over there. Iñaki looks like he'll certainly be staying in Bilbao. So, again, it wouldn't surprise me if what you've said is true and his intention is to stay in Spain. But the one thing here, John, we have to discuss when we're talking about trying to get a player like that is, could anybody in Spain match the money of a top, or even a top half Premier League club? Probably not. He's 21, said, frankly, you're young. Well, they're both young. This is my point, mate. And I don't think he's ready yet. But if it was to battle with Ben Doak or Cade Gordon, perhaps. And on a free as well. If you're going to get him on a free, again, it's understandable. Because let's see, you did bring in Nico Williams and it didn't work out in a year or two. I'd say you would safely make a few quid selling him back to La Liga, to a club over there. So I'm going to say I'd be okay with it, but not as a Salah replacement. That's my take on it anyway. Isn't Barca highly linked with Nico? They could be, Caden, but I'm assuming if a Spanish club wanted to sign him, that the compensation figure would be higher. Look at the English situation. Look at when Liverpool bought Harvey Elliott. If we didn't agree a fee with Fulham, it went to a tribunal, which is what happened. Same happened previously when we signed... God, who was it, the other one? Danny Ings. When we signed Danny Ings, no compensation fee was agreed there, and it went to a tribunal. And in both cases, I think they were very high figures. So I don't know what the law is in Spain about that. If there's a similar thing, whereas if you went to Barca, if Barca would have to negotiate directly with Bilbao to try to come to a compensation agreement, or if that would end up at a tribunal as well, which makes it a lot more difficult than a move outside of Spain. I think youth on the left side is more pressing, said John Williams. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but if you look at the options we have, right, on the left we've got Lucho, who is 27. We've got Nunes, who can play on the left or through the centre, and we've got Gakpo, who can do it as well. You've got Jota, who can do it as well. So I don't really think there's any pressing need for a left-sided player at the minute. We've got 4 options that I can think of off the top of my head, mate, to play on the left. Any idea when Bajcetic will be back? No. That's the honest answer. And I've looked, and I've looked, and I've looked, and as I mentioned to you yesterday on the stream, nobody seems to know when he'll be back. What's this one? Okay. Is there any other comments I have to get through? Could Jota play right wing? He could, but Is it weird that I don't see Jota as ever really being a starter? I mean, am I on my own in that? You know, if you look at the best Liverpool players and if everybody's fit and available, and I could be being really harsh on Diogo here, I don't see him as being a starter. I always see him as being a rotational or an impact player. But his goals this season have been top notch. You know, his return for Liverpool this year has been very, very good. Oakley Cannoneer, yes, another young player, Tony, yeah, good shout, another young player, Tony Morgan, well played, Sarah, on that one. Right, someone said, any update on Andre? Of course, buddy, of course, you know, that's what I'm here for. So, on Andre, TalkSport have been discussing Andre, and TalkSport believe that Spurs have become the latest club to make a play for Fluminense's Andre. They go as far as to say that Spurs are willing to sell players to bring in, to free up money to bring in Andre. I think they mentioned Pierre Højbjerg as somebody who Spurs would be willing to move on to bring Andre in. So that means you've now got Spurs apparently at the table, Fulham, Arsenal, Liverpool, I think maybe United, certainly a couple of clubs from Italy. And I would say that it's going to increase even more when the Club World Cup is on next month in Saudi. And again, he's taking part in that tournament. So I'm interested to figure out if Liverpool are backing off because they don't want a bidding war, or if Liverpool are backing off because they've genuinely decided they don't need a number 6. And I don't know if we'll get the answer to that question before the January window. You know, we've seen journalists suggest that Liverpool are, you know, I think James Pearce said on The Athletic, senior Anfield sources have indicated that Liverpool will not be going in for Andre or any number 6 in the January market. To me, and we did a poll yesterday on this, it would be the height of stupidity for Liverpool not to go and address a clearly problematic position. However you want to dress this up, we have a problem in the number 6 at the minute. You can talk about Bajcetic, and everybody will agree in the chat, I'm sure, that nobody has any doubts about Stefan. But what we can't say categorically is that he might not have a bit of a sketchy injury future ahead of him. He's had a couple of niggling injuries now. And it's not to say he's going to be a hospital case, but I think we need the reassurance of somebody else there. So for me, it comes down to two things. Does the club feel that Wataru Endo is going to be a good enough deputy to Bajcetic if we're going to go with him? Or do Liverpool need to almost draw a line under Endo to some extent and bring in somebody who can play in that position as well? Somebody like an Andre. And that's where I think the value is in the Andre signing. At 35 million euro, it seems a no-brainer. You know, we paid 16 million for, or 16.5 million for Endo. If you spend another, what's that, about 30 million pound on Andre, it's just a little bit over your Fabinho money. I won't be able to get my head around us not getting a 6 in January if we don't do it. I feel like we're taking unnecessary risks of losing silverware. The difference between us potentially challenging Manchester City or going on to win the Europa League could be whether we have a number 6 for those big moments in the league or not, or in the Europa League or not. And now we don't. We have Mac Allister, who we've already said we're unsure of because it's not his natural position. We never go up against clubs for players. Mistake, said John Williams. It is. It is a mistake. I read an article yesterday, John, that suggests that Jude Bellingham is only making €9 million a season at Real Madrid. So, if my maths is correctly, €9 million a season is roughly €180,000 a week, which is about 155, 160,000 pound. That's a long way from the 450,000 euro a week that was mentioned publicly by lots and lots of journalists or lots and lots of newspaper outlets. And I don't for 1 second believe he's on 9 million quid a year at Real Madrid. Maybe I don't believe it because it would feel even more like the most ridiculous move in the world from us to back down from that transfer if he's only on, let's say, 155 or 160,000 pound a week. That would make me even angrier about the whole Bellingham situation. But that's what I seen reported yesterday when I was looking into the Mbappe stuff. They were talking about the fact Mbappe's wages would be about €20 million a year, which is almost 2.5 times higher than their new superstar, Jude Bellingham. Does anybody else think he's on that money, or I don't know? It'd be an extra kick in the nuts if he is on that money and we walked away. Because as John said, we don't really go up head to head against clubs. I don't know why that is. Are we? We did actually. Do you know, we did it with Spurs for Diaz. We did. We came in last minute, swooped in, got Diaz from under Spurs' noses. But other than that, has there been any we've really gone to bat for, like head to head with other Premier League clubs recently? If we don't get Andre, I'll be fuming, said Whitehammer. Yeah, especially if we lose this league, let's say by 3 or 4 points, and we come up short because of a lack of squad depth somewhere else. I'm with you, mate. Absolutely fuming. It just seems like a stupid risk that we shouldn't have to take. Caicedo, well, yeah, fair. We went up against Caicedo and Lavia and lost both. So, yeah, that's fair. Gakpo, yeah, I guess United were sniffing around Gakpo for the longest time, but again, what I will say in both the situations in the 3 situations we're speaking about, Gakpo, Caicedo, and Lucho, we did act quickly in those 3 situations. All of them, Liverpool seemingly were late to the table. So Liverpool came in really quickly, bing bang bosh, got the deal done. Even look at Dominic Szoboszlai in the summer. We knew his release clause was coming to an end, and Liverpool very quickly came in and got it all done. So we can be fast when we need to be. We can be ruthless when we need to be, which again confuses the shit out of me with the Andre stuff. Thoughts on Ederson injury? Think City are pulling a fast one? I really don't mind. Like, does a goalkeeper coming back with a bit... I mean, of all the positions to try and pull a fast one on to save time from an international break, I don't know if goalkeeper's the position that would worry me the most. If Julian Alvarez was pulled out, I'd be far more concerned. Because, keeper's a keeper. Just... not much running to do. You're usually focused anyway. I don't know if that's much of a benefit to us. I also don't know if he's injured his foot or not, or if that's just nonsense. It's just not a big one for me. Have I listened to the audio VAR in the Arsenal-Newcastle game? Yeah, I think... I said this at the start of the stream. I think they did. That was spot on. Listening to the communication, I think they checked everything they needed to check. I was with them on their rationale of everything. I agreed with everything they said. I thought that was a goal. The one that really impressed me was the United goal that was ruled out, the Harry Maguire one. Shan Massey-Ellis, is that her name? The assistant VAR, who actually highlighted that they need to check Maguire. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was really well done from her, the assistant VAR, to highlight that. That was in the... was it the Fulham game? Where United had a goal ruled out. Garnacho played it across, United scored, but Maguire had tried to play the ball. I thought that was brilliant from the assistant VAR. I heard Real Madrid join the race for Wirtz. Yes. I think I would say to you that's possible. For 2 reasons that I think that's very, very possible. One, he's the right profile for Real Madrid, who are going for young, up-and-coming, very well thought-of youngsters. But also, you've got the Xavi Alonso factor. If Alonso does leave Leverkusen at some point, Madrid is one of the 3 clubs we know there's a clause in his contract that he can leave for. Madrid, Bayern and Liverpool are the 3 clubs. Ancelotti's moving on. So, yes, I would say that the idea of Florian Wirtz for about, I think it was €100 million is the number put on his head. I can see that being a possibility. But it still circles back around to Mbappe. If Madrid are really walking away from Mbappe, then I can see Wirtz being an option. But that's how I can also see Mbappe being a real option for Liverpool. So I know you guys have doubts about Liverpool's interest in Kylian Mbappe, but I went and researched some stuff last night just to prove that I hadn't invented this shit in my head. So 1 second. So I went back and I found an article from, I think it was The Guardian, and they said FSG chief John W. Henry, the principal owner at Anfield, reportedly took the player's family on a private jet tour around Nice Bay for a couple of hours while having a chat. Now, this was when he was at Monaco before he moved to PSG. But the reason I bring this up is it's also backed up by L'Equipe, who carry on with the story. And L'Equipe have said that John Henry left a great impression on the Mbappe family back in 2017. And they go on to say that Liverpool is the only club or Real Madrid that he could be tempted to sign for. We also know that his mum is a self-confessed Liverpool fan. Honestly, this is the only time I've ever believed Mbappe is possible because of everything I just laid out. We have kept tabs on him for 6 years at this point. We have kept that channel of communication open. So, I'm starting to believe. That's all I'm saying. Right. Next story that I'm going to cover for you guys. You say it's not happening, but I've already spelled out, Stephen, how it's possible. Normally, like, Stephen, I'm not an idiot. I am a realist. I do understand the value of money and how it works. So, if Liverpool were being linked with a move and there was a big £150 million, £200 million transfer fee, I promise you, I'd be sitting here going, not happening, no chance, no how, no way. But you're talking about somebody who will be moving, yes, a sign-on fee, no transfer fee. If you get money for Salah in the summer, if he was to leave, figures-wise, money-wise, it's doable. It is. It just is doable. Doesn't mean it's likely, but it is possible. And again, why would Liverpool still be talking with Mbappe's family 6 years later? And that's reported by multiple outlets. You can check that out yourselves. We are still keeping a foot in that race. So, the next story I want to bring you guys comes from France again. And they say, Le 10 Sports, which is basically LE10 Sport, they say that Wolves are going to block any interest that Liverpool apparently have in signing Rayan Aït-Nouri. They go on to say Liverpool are in regular contact with the player over a possible January move. They go on to talk about Costas and Luke Chambers are the only out-and-out options to deputise for Andy Robertson, who of course is ruled out with a shoulder injury. Now, this took me by surprise to read this today. But I think I can understand the link. You know, he is the type of attacking fullback that Liverpool, you could see in a system that we play. I'm not saying he's the right solution or the wrong solution. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't sign him. But I can understand it, at least. And that usually goes a long way with me for a transfer, if I can at least understand the rationale behind it. How much are we talking for a sign-on fee? For Mbappe, it depends how he wants it. Because these things will be done in the most tax-efficient way. So would it be more tax-efficient for Mbappe to get a big signing-on bonus up front? Or would it be better spread over the cost of his contract? Don't know the answer to that, not an accountant. But I'd say you'd be talking a significant wedge either way. Aït-Nouri's not good enough. Again, nobody's saying that he's going to be brought in to replace anyone. I get the indication that I get from this piece is that we don't think Costas is good enough and that he'd be brought in to be number 2 to Andy Robertson. That's what I take from the article. Not that Liverpool are looking to replace Robertson with him. Again, it's just an article though. It's not a definitive statement from the club. I'd like to see Aït-Nouri at Liverpool, said cool trainer Orote. I think he's, as I said, understandable as a link. He's the style of fullback you could see in our system. But whether he's the right or wrong one, look, I don't know. Lehra said, sell Costas and buy Aït-Nouri. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to put the Costas thing to the first poll of the night. Right, so the question is a simple one. Should Liverpool sell and replace Costas? Basically, do you think he's a good enough deputy to Andy Robertson? So should Liverpool sell and replace? And that's the question I put into the chat. John Williams said, we are in a pressing need for a left-sided defender. I would agree, because the idea of Costas being there until January, it frightens the shit out of me, John, if I'm being honest with you, mate. It does. We are not getting Mbappe. Okay, mate. We're not getting Mbappe. Brilliant. I still think there's a chance we might get Mbappe, but if you want to just consider and keep going with no, we're not getting Mbappe, no problem. You continue saying that. But I'm going to continue telling you why I think until the Mohamed Salah situation is resolved, it's absolutely possible. Like, I know you think I'm clickbaiting or whatever about that, but think about it logically. Salah's situation has to be resolved. It will either be a new contract or he gets sold. I can't see a way we let him go for free in a year. So if we go off the assumption that he gets sold, then why isn't Mbappe possible? There is no factual reason other than Real Madrid. And Real Madrid are publicly saying that they walked away. So again, he has to go somewhere. We could afford it. We've been keeping tabs on him for 6 years. He's got no transfer fee. Why is it not possible? It might be unlikely, but I wouldn't. Put it this way. This is the most honest I can be. If you said to me, you have to bet your life, Craig, that Liverpool will 100% not sign Mbappe, I wouldn't put that bet on. That's the most honest I could be. I also wouldn't put the bet on that we would sign him, but I couldn't rule out that it's at least a possibility. Selling really sounds harsh, but he hasn't impressed. That's kind of where I am as well, Nadandu. That's exactly where my head's at. Feels harsh because he loves the club. Seems like a really nice fella. But in the cold light of day, I just don't think he is good enough. And we've had him around long enough now to have got a good sample size. People think Mbappe's too good for us. Bollocks. No. See, that I'm not having either, John. No. Mbappe at what? 25, 26? Peak years? On a free? We should be at that table. We should absolutely be looking at that deal. Regardless. Like, again, people sometimes need reminding. We're Liverpool Football Club. You know, we are Liverpool Football Club, one of the biggest football clubs on the face of the planet, in the richest league on the planet. So I agree with John. He's not too good for us by any stretch. Pyramids are a huge mystery. Why were they built? I don't know, Jensk. I don't know. Mate, I haven't really looked into it, to be honest with you, dude. A club like Liverpool will always be interested in the best players around. Also, Mbappe, on time will tell. I think FSG would put up the money. They know he'd bring them loads of money, and he's never been so involved in one player other than Caicedo, said Charles. So, again, Nike and Mbappe have a partnership, right? Yes, Mbappe is a Nike athlete. If you're Nike, do you want to see Kylian Mbappe running around in a Real Madrid Adidas shirt? Just a simple question. Of course you don't. You want to see Kylian Mbappe staying in the Nike family. Now, that's a common sense thing. You know, look, I know it's happened before. Players have boot deals and they play for clubs with opposing brands on their shirts. But you'd push it because the shirt sales for Liverpool and Nike would be astronomical. For us as a brand, as a company, again, global audience. If you lose one superstar in Mohamed Salah, who is an absolute global icon, well, instantly replacing him with another one who's younger, again, it ticks a lot of boxes. And we have that shirt deal as well with Nike that we get 30 or 35 million guaranteed, and then 20% of any Nike branded Liverpool merchandise that gets sold, including jerseys. So, again, cha-ching. Messi and Adidas, Cristiano, Nike. I've literally just said, mate, it has happened before, but it wouldn't be preferable to the brands. Now look where Messi's playing. He's playing in the MLS, which is basically owned by Adidas from a branding perspective of shirts and clubs. Every single one of the clubs in the MLS wear Adidas shirts. Is there no way we could get a pre-contract agreement with Fluminense for Andre? We could. Of course we could. You could sign him. Liverpool could do that paperwork and sign Andre tomorrow. They just couldn't register him with UEFA or the Premier League until the window opens. But there's been plenty of transfers before where it's been sorted out mid-season and it doesn't happen until the end. So 100% that's possible. Look at what we did with Naby as well. Similar thing there. I think Divock Origi, if I remember correctly as well. Divock Origi we signed and then he was still out of Wolfsburg on loan until he came back. So, absolutely. What do you do if Trent leaves? I don't think he will. I know we covered the story yesterday about Real Madrid being interested, but I don't see it for Trent at this moment in time. I know he's good mates with Bellingham and all that stuff, but I just get this suspicion that it's time for new agents or new contract for Trent, which it is. And, you know, having your name linked with Real Madrid while your agent's talking with Liverpool about extending your deal, you know, it's not a bad thing for the agent to be able to go in and say, is it? If it's true that Madrid don't want Mbappe anymore, Liverpool are the clear favourites to get him. I think so. And so do the media. Like, everybody, myself included, everybody will say if Madrid want him, he ends up at Madrid. I'm first in the queue to say that. But if they don't, and if we take them at face value that they don't, where else is he going to go? Anyway, let's move on. Spoke about that one. What's this one? So, Super Chat. No, we've done that from It's the Urban. Diego Simeone has named Jurgen Klopp as the coach he would like to succeed him at Real or Atletico Madrid when Cholo moves on, whenever that is. And you know what? Look, obviously we want him to stay at Liverpool, we want him to extend, but just for argument's sake, if he was to go to Spain, 100% Atletico Madrid is the fit for Klopp. 100%. Think about it. Just outside the big two in Barca and Real. Plucky underdogs, but still with a bit of history and tradition and still with a little bit of availability to spend money. Just that little bit underneath. It's exactly the type of project that Klopp would be attracted to, I think. If he was to go to Spain, I think Atleti would be the one for Klopp. Definitely feels like a good fit. Now, of course, I don't want Klopp leaving. And he's got 2 and a bit years to go on his Liverpool deal. I just found it interesting today that Cholo said that when he moves, Klopp will be the one he'd like to take over. Which is understandable because, in my opinion, Klopp's the best coach in the world. John said, "Hi Craig, so the international break, but does it infuriate you that every international break some of our players come back injured?" Yeah, of course. Of course it does. I go into every international break, John, assuming someone's getting injured. This time, and I said it at the start of the stream, I've got a feeling it's going to be Darwin that we see get an injury. Now, that could be because on the last international break, Bielsa said that he had some muscle injuries and cramping, remember, at the end of the second game, and he took him off. So maybe that's just playing on my mind a little bit. I hope to God that we don't, but Uruguay have some big games coming up. When does the transfer window open? 1st or 2nd of January? I don't know the exact date off the top of my head, but 1st or 2nd is what I think. Let's have a look at this poll. Should Liverpool sell and replace Costas? We've had 500 votes, over 500 votes actually. And so far, 61% say, now 62% say yes, 38% say no. I'll end that poll. So Trent, let's talk about Trent for a minute. Trent has admitted that he's studying 3 particular players with regards to the role that he now plays at Liverpool in that hybrid number 6 right back role. Those 3 players, Steven Gerrard, totally understandable. Alessandro Pirlo, totally understandable. And of course, the third name you fully expect to be on that list after Steven Gerrard and Pirlo is John Stones. To be fair, Stones has been pretty good in that role that he's had to play for Manchester City. So yeah, Trent Alexander-Arnold has admitted that he is studying Steven Gerrard, Pirlo and John Stones to get used to his new hybrid role as a right back / second number 6. I mean, look, got to give John Stones credit. John Stones has played very, very well in that position for Manchester City that Pep has him in. So, we Liverpool fans are often biased, as are all clubs fans. But Squawka have let it known that there is no doubt now. It is official that Virgil van Dijk is the best centre-back in the Premier League right now. The stats show that to be the case. So, you can now say it loud, say it proud. Virgil's back. Virgil's the best defender in the Premier League. And our friends at Squawka and their stats back it up. Highest dual success rate. 10 plus contested. 0 errors leading to shots. 0 dispossessions. And 0 dribble passed. So again, my friends, Virgil van Dijk is the best defender in the Premier League. And I'm here for that. Yes, yes, yes. Very, very happy to see it. So make sure that you are at your... What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say at your shithousing best, but make sure that you let the world know. If you're on social media, let everyone know. United fans. Arsenal fans especially, because if I have to listen to Saliba and Gabriel propaganda anymore from Arsenal fans, my head will explode. So let it be known out there. You got to rep Virg, best defender in the Premier League. What's this one? Little stat Connor sent me over, and again you can find this in the Anfield Agenda Twitter account, or X as it's now called. Of Salah's top flight 10 goals in 23-24, 40% of his goals have come via an assist from our beautiful Uruguayan superstar, Mr. Darwin Núñez. So that chemistry and that relationship there is top notch, and you love to see it. Absolutely. Rodri is the best number 6 in the world. Yeah, no argument. You're right. He is. Yeah, he is. He's just a specimen as well, isn't he? I think what really separates Rodri and just pushes him into that little category on top is the goals that he pops up with as well. He does get a handful every season, which is unusual for a number 6. Casemiro had that spell at United as well, where he was popping up with a lot of headers and a lot of goals from set pieces. But yeah, I do agree. Rodri is probably the best number 6 in the world. Have you seen Liverpool's Christmas advert? So somebody posted it into our Discord group, but I haven't watched it yet. I just seen there was a mince pie on the arm of a chair. That's all I've seen. Why does the like say 4.8 million? I'm looking at likes here and it says 300 and something. I wish there was 4.8 million likes on the stream, mate. That would make me very happy indeed. Do, by the way, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the stream. Do drop a like as well. There's 1,370 people in the chat, but only 300 likes. Come on now. Don't be doing me dirty. Hit that like button. What's this one? So, a little bit of nostalgia for you. This time last year, Liverpool were 7th in the Premier League table after as many matches played. So, certainly progressing this year, back where we want to be. It really bugs me, though, knowing that if we had to beat Luton, we'd be in top of the league right now. It really bugs me as well, knowing that if we hadn't been shithoused at Spurs, we'd be joint with Manchester City on top of the league. That sticks in my throat, I can't lie to you. But, look, I was watching Adam earlier on top of the league, and I was watching the comments, and I was watching you guys interacting with Adam. I'm going to ask the question, are we in a title race? Really? And I'm going to put this to a poll because I want to know. And I want you to be biased. And I want you to be proud. So, are we in a title race? Really? Do you think we can last the pace this season? I do. I really, really do. And do you know who else does? Rio Ferdinand. Rio Ferdinand has been speaking about Liverpool kind of going under the radar a little bit. Same with Mohamed Salah this season and his numbers. And, you know, if it's coming out of Mr. Ferdinand's mouth, we must be serious because, you know, no former United players will ever go out of their way to big up Liverpool. So I think we are. And look, I've said it from the start of the season. When I'd seen what the other teams were like, when I'd seen how we were playing, when I'd seen how quickly that new midfield settled in, and the attacking options and the goal-scoring prowess in this Liverpool team, I've always felt like we're in a title race this year. Because I'm not saying City won't win the league, but they're not as daunting a proposition as they were in the past, for me. Are you watching any international games? I'm going to do a watch-along of the Netherlands-Ireland. That's the only game I'm going to do during the international break. But ones that I'll watch, I'll probably watch some of the South American games. There's some belter games on. I think Brazil-Argentina, right, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it Uruguay-Argentina? Either way, there's some good games on. Do we beat City? God, that's a good question, Nathan. No, can't say I think we will. I can see us leaving with a point. I can see us going there and getting a draw. But our record isn't great that the Eddie had. Can we win? Yeah, of course we can. But it will depend on a few things. Who scores first in the game? What players we get back from international duty without injury? How fresh they are and what side Klopp puts out for the game? It'll also depend on, of course, some of those City players who are currently out with injury. It's a tough one because it's probably your most difficult away game of the season. I do disagree with some people who think Liverpool have had a relatively straightforward start. As I mentioned when I commented in the top of the league stream, we've played Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea and Spurs away from home already in the Premier League. So they're difficult away games to have already passed. So again, I just think, yes, we are in a title race. You've got Argentina versus Brazil and Argentina versus Uruguay. Oh God, it's great from a perspective of watching, but then again, you just think Mac Allister, Darwin against each other, against Brazil. Alisson, of course, because Ederson's out. You're just hoping there that nothing goes wrong. So City will get a penalty for Haaland falling over. Can I just say, on that City penalty against Chelsea, I don't think anybody else except City and Spurs get that penalty. Call me a tinfoil hat merchant, but Van Dijk didn't get that penalty when he was dragged down at Luton. I've seen instances of United players not getting it. I've seen Arsenal players not getting it. It feels like, whether by accident or whatever, Man City and Spurs seem to be getting the rub of the green in the VAR department this season, in the first third of the season. For me, I thought that was a nonsense penalty. I think nobody else gets it. That's my honest take on it. Jens, thank you for your super chat, my friend. Said, you have a few injuries, new players to fit Jurgen's system, impressive rebuild. You have few injuries. Jens, did you not see how many people we had out of the weekend? But look, long term, yes, you're right. Impressive rebuild for decent money. You're capable of a fight for the title, absolutely. So look, we have Robertson out, Thiago out, Bajcetic out, Canada out, Jones out. Mac Allister was suspended. So, you know, we have had injuries. They're just not long-term ones. So hopefully most of them, outside of Thiago, Robbo, and probably Bajcetic, should be free. Gravenberch was also ruled out of the last game. Hopefully we don't get shafted by the refs like Spurs, said Dania. How long is Ederson out injured for? I don't know. All I know is just a left foot injury. Apparently, that's the only thing I know. Nathan, is Canade at least 2 weeks hamstring? So I don't know. The prognosis of that was minor. So I don't know if he felt something and nothing has really shown up, or I don't think it's going to be a long-term problem. If Alisson gets injured, we won't be able to win the Premier League. That I agree with. Yeah, I agree with that, Ashley. If we were to have Alisson out for, say, 8 weeks, yeah, I think that's a fair statement. The spine of the team needs to be kept intact. You need to have Alisson, Salah, Van Dijk, Darwin fit for me. And I'd probably throw Szoboszlai into that mix as well. For Liverpool to realistically go toe-to-toe with City, we're going to have to try and keep those boys as injury-free as possible. They said Canade felt it in the Toulouse warm-up. Yeah, I'd seen the French national team coach as well say, again, wasn't serious, but better to be on the side of caution. Who would your Ali replacement be if he was to leave? Nobody. Mannion I like. Yeah, I can't really think of many more because honestly I haven't been on the lookout for a keeper because Alisson still has 4, 5, 6 years left probably. Keepers can play 36, 37, 38. But I like the guy Mannion from AC Milan. Somebody put me onto him and I kept watching him more and more and more, and I can see what the fuss is about. The Spurs look like they got a decent keeper with Vicario as well. When he came in, he looks like a decent keeper. All Black's days are done, lads. They're done. And if Alisson's moved on, then All Black's going to be the same age roughly, or probably a bit older. So I don't see him as an option or Courtois as an option because you're talking a similar age bracket. Like, Alisson's not going to leave us for somebody else. If Alisson leaves Liverpool, it's because his time at the top is over, in my opinion. So I don't see it happening for the foreseeable. Who's your ideal number 6? It would have been Caicedo. I can't lie. It would have been. When that news broke that we had the bid accepted for Caicedo, you can go back and watch the stream. I was full. That was it for me. We're winning the league. That was the end of it. No debate. That was it. Rebuild done. League won. Just bring on the Champions League after that. Outside of him, it depends what you want. Like, I love the idea of Andre because it ticks so many boxes. It gives us 2 young, dynamic sixes in Bajcetic and Andre. Bit of Samba flair. Competition. Palhinha would be great, but he's going to go to Bayern Munich. That's going to happen in January. Again, you've got the age thing with Palhinha. If you've signed Endo, you're not going to bring in Palhinha as well because he's too close to Endo's age. I've got to be honest and say I haven't really kept tabs on Decore from Palace this season. I haven't really kept up to date with how he's been playing. Kimmich, 28, if he leaves Bayern. Again, the same bracket there. Declan Rice, let's be honest, we're not going to have a chance to sign. We should have been in for Declan Rice. I said this all summer. It was, for me, Bellingham and Rice. They were the 2 targets that I'd have loved to have seen Liverpool go for, albeit very different styles of midfielders. Craig, in the starting 11 for Liverpool against City, who would you put in striker? Gakpo, Nunes or Jota? Jota, because of the international break and because of how far that Darwin will have to travel. So I will go Jota to the centre, just for that reason. Not, again, long term, Darwin. If this game was being played in a regular week, 100% Darwin. But because of the tiredness and fitness, I wonder if we won't see Darwin come off the bench. So I'd say Jota is a safer bet. And also, Jota knows where the goal is at the minute. So you couldn't really push back if Jota did get the nod. What's the news on Neves? I missed the start of the show. No problem. I'll go back over for you now, mate. I was going to start to do a wrap up anyway. So, right. So, as we know, Liverpool sent scouts over to Lisbon for the game between Benfica and Sporting. We knew that Liverpool were looking partly at Gonçalo Inácio, but 90 Min have now reported that Liverpool were also looking at Joao Neves, the holding midfielder from Benfica, and Antonio Silva, the centre-back from Benfica. So, as much as I don't know too much about Joao Neves, I can definitely tell you Antonio Silva is definitely good enough. And if there's any truth to that, I'd be very, very, very excited. But it's tough to know, because at this point, yeah, you can say your scouts were there, but only the scouts in Liverpool are really going to know who they were looking at. So, yeah, for me, I hope that's true for Antonio Silva. Joao Neves, 19, don't know much about him, haven't really watched him, but it was the Antonio Silva part that really caught my eye in the article. Who gets relegated this season? Sheffield United, Burnley and Luton, unless Everton get a points deduction. But you know what? With the way Everton's form has been so far, I couldn't even write off that Everton with a points deduction could probably still just about get and scrape their way through, because they're starting to pick up some results. Heard the Anfield Road end won't be ready till March. Is it true? Yes and no. The full opening with a capacity crowd of 61,000, they are trying to pencil in the Man City game in March. But there will be a phased opening with safety certificates being granted along the way, so you will see it gradually eke up towards the 61k bit by bit, but that is the date that's been released as the probable one for it being completely open. Silva and Inácio are beasts. So the Inácio stuff, I think we've been a bit stupid here, to be honest with you. I think we can rule out Inácio, and it's because of the money. Sporting won't negotiate because they got him to sign the new deal. Our chance to sign Inácio was the summer, when we could have had him for 40 million euro, and we didn't take the option. He extended with Sporting, new release clause of 60 million euro. I think that's the end of it, you know, because I don't know about you guys, but I'd be fuming if we signed him this summer for 60 million. I'd be absolutely fuming, because that's 20 million euro thrown in the bin. 20 million quid we could have used towards another player. It would drive me mad if Liverpool signed Inácio now after him signing that new contract. How do you buy your tickets to watch Liverpool at Anfield without having to have a membership card? I mean, there are various answers, ranging from go through a travel agent, buy a hospitality package, a friend of a friend, show up, go around the local pubs the day of the kickoff. I mean, there are loads of options to try it, but it depends what your willingness to risk is if you're travelling. So, would I book a trip over to Liverpool without a ticket from Ireland? I might chance it. You know, I might chance a cheap flight over in a hotel if I could try it on the day. Perhaps. Would I travel from further afield to do it? No, not a hope. Craig, we have to just play Gravenberch until 6 until we in January we're holding back Mac Allister. So I've mentioned the idea of Gravenberch in a different style of number 6, and I think he'd be capable of it. But either way, it's still an indictment of our transfer policy that it's even a debate right now that we haven't got a number 6. It just feels stupid. Again, how is Hincapié? Yes, he's having a good season, but I don't see him leaving Bayer Leverkusen in January. I think they have so much on the line this season, and they're heading for a really good season. So I don't see them selling. I don't. At number 6, Morton Friendrup from Genova. Or Genoa. Did you mean Genoa? Is that what you're trying to say there? Big young talent from Denmark. Don't know much about him, to be fair, but I'll take your word on it. Gravenberch's marauding number 8 skill set is not suited whatsoever for a CDM. Disagree. So look at his attributes. Good in close quarters with the ball. Able to break a challenge and break a line. Able to win aerial challenges. Able to be physical. Need I go on? So why isn't he able to play as the number 6? If we're putting Mac Allister in the number 6, is there anything about Alexis Mac Allister's game that strikes you as combative or physical? No, but his footballing intelligence and his reading of the game is what makes Jurgen Klopp feel, along with his controlling a play in tight quarters. So respectfully, I think you're talking nonsense. But just my opinion. But look, and I'm not trying to be a smart arse to you. The fact we're even having to have this conversation isn't good enough for me. You know, whether we're trying to shoehorn Gravenberch or whether we're trying to shoehorn Mac Allister, it's still a nonsense for us as Liverpool fans that we're having to have this conversation. There shouldn't be a debate. There should be, this is the number 6 we signed in the summer. He is good enough. Let's end the conversation, unless it's who starts, him or Bajcetic. So, regardless of what we all think, mate, it's a pain in the backside that we even have to have the debate, isn't it? Xavi or Linders? Xavi, for me. Xavi Alonso. De Zerbi, Sergei. I think De Zerbi ends up at Man City. I've always felt that. He just, I don't know, it just feels like he'd be a good fit for City after Pep leaves. And I don't know, I've no reason to believe it will be the case, but I've said it for months. Have you heard that Pep might be the next England manager? No. I had seen him linked with the Brazil job before Ancelotti agreed to take it. I've said this for ages, and I'll go back before Southgate again. If I was the FA, I would have got Arsene Wenger in. Imagine Arsene Wenger working with that group of players now, with your Sakas, with Kane, with the talented like Foden. Imagine Arsene Wenger with the English national team. I thought that was a no-brainer. I know Arsene has a job with FIFA, is it? But if I was the English FA, I would have went for him. Pep wants Spain. Does he though? Pep's very Catalan. I don't know if Pep Guardiola would ever want to manage Spain. I truly don't. I'm not saying he doesn't, but I'm saying I don't think it's as cut and dry there, because there is that whole Catalunya aspect. Paul, I'm good, mate. Paul, our friend from FC Bar, mate. I'm good, thank you. How are you? Would be very nice to see Gravenberch playing as a 6. He did it many times at Ajax, and I personally think his height and strength is much more suited to the position than Mac Allister, said United in the Mud. I heard Moyes linked with a West Ham board role. Why have they not given him a new deal? I don't understand why West Ham are not giving David Moyes a new contract. It seems a no-brainer to me. I think David Moyes has done a very, very good job at West Ham. He delivered them their first European trophy. They got off to a bit of a sticky start this season, but they're starting to get a bit of form now. Jared Bowen's on fire. And for a club that lost Declan Rice, I don't see how that's even a debate. If I'm West Ham, I'm giving him a new deal. If Trent left, I would bring in Frimpong. Be a good solution, yeah. One attacking right back for another. I could see that. What do you think of Harvey Elliott's development? I think Harvey Elliott's developing really well. I think I think he's underappreciated because a lot of the stuff that he doesn't catch the eye. So if I say to you, Harvey Elliott had a perfect pass percentage rate, nobody really gives a shit, do they? Like, we do, but we don't, if you get me. Like, if he played on, he could have 40 passes that all reach their target. But if he played in a game where 2/3 reached the target, but he had a flashy assist, that would catch your eye a little bit more. So if you take into that the counter pressing, which Jurgen Klopp constantly sings his praises on, I think Harvey Elliott is developing rather nicely. And I think recently, when he's come on and come into a game, I think he's looked good. He's looked sharp. He's made things happen. He's made things tick. Yeah, I like him. What's my dream Liverpool squad? I don't know. I've never really given it much thought. I think we're 3 additions away from Klopp only needing to tinker with the squad every window. So get us a number 6, get us a centre back if Matip leaves as well. That'll free up that spot. So bring in a centre back, sell Costas and bring in a full back. Job done. I think that's Liverpool complete. 2 good left backs. Trent at right back with Gomez as an option, with Calvin Ramsey as an option, with Connor Bradley as an option. Centre backs, if Matip goes in the summer, let's say the new young centre back, Jarrell Kwanzaa, Kanade, Van Dijk for the minute, and Gomez. Job done. If we bring in a number 6, by Cecic, the new number 6, Endo still there as well. I think that's it. If you need to replace Salah, look, that's another conversation. But I feel, and it's a constant theme, by the way, I feel like under Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, we've so often been 90-95% of the way to what we as fans would feel is a near complete squad. And we've always seemed to just be that 1 move away or 2 moves away. I love your team, thank you. I love your channel, sorry, thank you. How would your team line up against Manchester City next week with everybody available? Alisson, Trent. Honestly, Matip. I've been really impressed with Matip. Van Dijk. Gomez at left back. Mac Allister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, Salah, Jota, Diaz. I would rest Darwin from the start because of the travel. And I know Mac Allister's travelling, but my option... Do you know what, actually? Would Klopp roll the dice and put Jones in the number 6? You know, because we do have to keep into consideration Mac Allister's travelling as well. So might we see Jones in the 6 with Gravenberch and Szoboszlai like Klopp tried in pre-season? Yeah, off the top of my head, that's kind of where I'd be thinking. Totally agree, Craig. The only time I haven't felt that way was 2020 when we won the league. Lauren said he'd put Jones in, but Macca was so rough at Brighton. Yeah, Macca hasn't been great after international breaks. The 2 games he's come back from. Matip turns into prime Maradona when he wants. I think he's been brilliant lately. And there was a time where I thought he was shambolic. I don't know if it was the end of last season or... He looked out of sorts, Joel Matip, but recently I thought he's looked really, really good. How many subs until 228? A lot. Yeah. I think we're like 800 away, something like that. Right, my friends, I'm going to call that one a night. And what day is tomorrow? Wednesday. Yes, same time, same place. It's Saturday. I'm going to take off this week, by the way. Just a heads up. There will be no live stream on Saturday night. But tomorrow, I'll see you guys at 8:30 as always. So, much love. Thank you for your time tonight. Don't forget to hit the like button before you head off. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And again, yeah, thank you for keeping me sane during this international break. It's defo the highlight of my day when I'm in here chatting with you guys about football when there's nothing happening from a Liverpool perspective. So